Hello everyone, my name is Paulo Silva and I will talk to you a little bit about our work and how we use natural language processing to detect privacy violations in online contracts. So the problem is that public or private organizations are legally bound to release contractual information, and such information contains many times data that is sensitive. So this is also personally identifiable information. And this relates not only to organizations but also to individuals. And since there's a lack of mechanisms that help organizations to protect and process the sensitive data, we think it's important to develop novel mechanisms that comply with the regulations like the GDPR and that efficiently increase the privacy assurances. To do this, we built named entity recognition models that monitor PII. To evaluate the model's performance, we used general purpose datasets, context-specific datasets, and also we changed the dimensions of the datasets to evaluate how it affects the model's performance. Then we studied the applicability of such mechanism to act as a privacy-enhancing technology. So to achieve this, we used three different NLP tools: NLTK, Stanford Core NLP, and SPACY. And the three tools use different mechanisms to process the data. We recorded the F1 score, the training time, and the number of iterations of each model training. And before all this, we had to manually label the entities that we wanted to use in our experiment, and these entities are related to personally identifiable information. With this in hand, we split the 70% part or portion of the dataset for training and the remaining 30% for validation that the models have never seen before. So in the first part with the generic datasets, it was based on public domain English text, so like news, reports, and so forth, based on the Groningen Meaning Bank. It was partitioned in different sizes to assess the size influence in the model's performance. And on the other hand, we had the contract-based datasets, which are publicly released contracts, for instance, from Metrolink or Department of Defense from the United States, and we worked from there. So what can these results show us? Well, first we see that NLTK got the worst performance across the board. Then we see that Stanford Core NLP and SPACY achieved the best classification scores with 0.84 and 0.86 F1 scores. Then we see that if we use a smaller portion of the dataset, for instance 20%, we get F1 scores that are very similar with the highest classification scores. So using smaller amount of data can also lead us to very similar performance when we use larger portions of data. Then we see that using 500 iterations, for instance in SPACY, does not significantly improve the F1 score, because if we use 45% less iterations, the results are very similar and it saves us lots of time in terms of training and computational power. If we look at the contract-based dataset results, we see that NLTK was also the worst performant of the three. But on the other hand, we see that Stanford Core NLP achieved a F1 score of over 0.9, while SPACY got very similar results. It was slightly below, but still both of these tools are very close to each other. So what can we learn from these results? Well, we see that the manual labeling of data, it's an expensive task and it's time consuming. But at the same time, once we pass this barrier, then we see that we have a system that it's capable of autonomously detect PII in not only online contracts, but basically any other kind of document that has similar properties. So this is very much applicable as a privacy-enhancing technology, also because it only uses publicly released data for training. There is no data retention required. The GDPR compliance is assured, and this is suitable to be applied in various scenarios. For instance, form validation, document verification, transparent monitoring of data exchanges, queries, and so on, and basically any other task that can process sensitive data. So With this in mind, thank you very much for your attention, and if you have some comment or question, just write us down and we will get back to you. Thank you.